to Mario's name, no other name has mentioned more in other talks at this conference. And so Stefano, first time I saw Stefano was, I think, 7 years ago at the CCC conference, where he gave a great talk, and on one slide he said, yeah, and we found this universal cross-site scripting bug affecting the Adobe Reader plugin, which exposed cross-site scripting problems in every single website in the internet at this day. And it was just one slide in his talk. And also he's the guy that came up with HTTP parameter pollution, which fed, I think, at least 3 PhD theses. And he wrote Dominator, and he did lots of stuff. And so we are very, very happy to have him here today to tell us about JavaScript libraries. Stefano. So, in a second.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, everybody. Who I am, Stefano. I work at Minded Security. I'm a co-founder and CTO of Minded Security, and I proudly lead the Minded Security Research Lab that allowed me to develop Dominator and Dominator Pro and do some pretty cool stuff, really difficult but very interesting. So this is the agenda. I will just try to wrap up a couple of years of activity on JavaScript while testing Dominator, while testing stability, but also the stability of Dominator, but also as well the security of client-side application in the browser, of course. What came out was that a couple of years ago, the first I had a look at the top 100 Alexa sites, and it turned out that there were 57, there were found at 57 pages on 57 different sites that were vulnerable to at least one DOM-based cross-site scripting. So yes, it's not a real statistic, because we would probably need a larger number of sites, but it makes some point at least. I also was kind of new to reading JavaScript at that level. So I was very surprised to see that developers were using common patterns while, for example, parsing particular strings in order to, I don't know, get values from the query string or from the cookie, and we will see that sometimes those parsers and those patterns are actually anti-pattern. Naturally, when you deal with JavaScript in the client side, you have to deal with libraries, and in particular jQuery, of course. So we will see how jQuery can be very dangerous if if the developer does not really know what's going on inside jQuery. So the first one is actually jQuery, and I want to start with a question. Is jQuery a sink? What's a sink, first of all? Is a function or a method that is potentially dangerous if the argument, one of the arguments, can be controlled by someone that is by an untrusted source. Let's say that. And of course, that if that argument is not validated the right way. So let's see what's a sink. String copy, the C function, is considered a sink because it's known that if the destination length is not larger than the source one, there will be an overflow. It's known that execute query is a sink because the argument is a SQL query. It's known, probably, that jQuery.html is a sink because actually it's saying, hey, put some HTML here. No one complains about them because they actually do what they say. jQuery do more. jQuery at least does 3 things. And actually, since because of that, a developer thinks he is going to use it for something, and so is not the purpose of the method, as the use the developer wants to make of it. And this is why it can be considered more than a sink. It's actually, in my mind, a design problem. Indeed, jQuery was written with flexibility in mind. Yesterday we were talking with Dennis about jQuery. jQuery allows fluent developing. So it was conceived with that in mind. That is why jQuery as method, a static method, allows different kind of arguments, and according to the argument, it will behave in some way. The first one is, which is the one that is the most used, is as a selector. Find me everything inside the page that has some ID with some value and so on. The onload is the other one. For example, is if the argument is a function, then that function will be executed on the onload event when the page loads, finished loading. The last one is the actual sink, and is when jQuery takes the first argument that contains tags, angular parentheses, and so on. So, what happened here? If I just write something like this, it goes executed. But why? Since it's not used inside the page at the moment. It's because can you see it? Okay. It's because this is the function that is actually called when you call jQuery. We can see it right here. jQuery, function selector, our dangerous argument, context, and then return new this. So this one is the init function here, method here. What happens here? If, well, this is a quick test, so optimization. If it handles also if the argument is a DOM element, is an object that belongs to the DOM. So there are 4. Sorry. It will return a wrap. It will wrap jQuery object around the element. Then, well, another little optimization. There is one body, so there is no need to look for it. And then, look at this. If type of selector is a string, so let's do the type checking, then let's begin to be elastic. First, a little optimization if the first character is an angular parenthesis, then it's is an HTML. So do not do your match, regular expression matching in order to understand if it's actually considered as a selector, CSS selector, or HTML. But let's go on. What's this match? What's this quick expression? The quick expression is this one. And we just can now see the first comment about the possibility to abuse of jQuery because of an anti-pattern that was used, which was something like this. Okay, so it's not in, there is actually, this is a reckless use of jQuery. That was a common pattern. It is a common pattern. If you look at JavaScript code around the web, you will see several several points where you can see something like that. Actually, I also wrote a blog post about it in 2010 maybe, or 11. But I was using this pattern as an example, not as the problem. So, also Mala, I think, well, I thought that, okay, jQuery is a sink. It's known that jQuery can allow HTML and will execute JavaScript. So why should I open a ticket, open a bug for that? It's on the specs. But Mala actually opened it and said, this, a lot of developers use this kind of code. A lot of developers don't know probably that if there is an angular parenthesis, jQuery will parse it. So do something for this pattern. And they did with this piece of code. They added this piece that says, if the first character is hash, or is not an hash, and then do not consider it, or consider it as HTML or not. So group it and consider it as a selector, but just if there is the hash at the beginning. So they actually were trying to fix this. So what about, I don't know, this? Right? What about this? This is still a problem. So it was a useless fix. It was just, I started to think about jQuery as the new PHP. So they tried to fix one bad line, developer's line at a time. No? Okay, so actually, yes, now they test for just the first, if the first character is an angular parenthesis. If it is, then they parse it. So they allow only full tags. They allow HTML only if the first character contains the opened angular parenthesis. Okay. Okay, but why are you trying to add new tests? Because the design is bad. Because you are trying to fix something that is not actually fixable. Well, it's fixable if you separate the HTML parsing. So you won't allow anymore jQuery with HTML as an argument, and create a new method, there is, parse HTML, that explicitly parse it. So, this is not working because it's, I think it's 1.8. Let me see, 1.82. And at 1.82, still, it does not have to be the first character. It can be everywhere. Well, on 1.9, we have a little solution. These are the tickets about jQuery. Already talked about the first two. Then there is a third one. jQuery needs HTML escaping functionality, whose status is undecided, because they are saying, maybe we have to do a plugin. No. We don't know why, but it's like mystery. But I think the problem is that there was the original sin, no? The design issue. With Mario maybe 1 month ago, something like this, tweeted about a reintroduction of the jQuery issue, even on the jQuery site. After some inspection of the code, I found that they were using a plugin that is called jQuery Migrate. Actually, they reintroduced the the bug in order to create retrocompatibility with the jQuery, the previous jQueries. So we did a joint post together, and I put it on Reddit, and in order to understand it, there was some interesting comment, and this is actually an interesting comment, I think. This is Geocar. One of my biggest gripes about jQuery, using the same interface for query and executing, is a bad idea. That is, script simply shouldn't do anything at all. Actually, indeed, it doesn't, because it doesn't works with the script, but it works with the image source on error. So got the point. Okay. So as a selector, are we all okay? If this variable is tainted, I mean, is unvalidated and so on, is there any problem here? I don't know. I think that maybe with time and attacks, maybe with some particular event that can be observable by the attacker, I'm pretty sure it can be used as well. I hope that someone will go on with this, because I think there's some good space to research on. So what's the solution? jQuery is more than a sink, then validate your input, escape, encode the arguments of jQuery, no matter which version you are using. And also for the developer, for the jQuery users, read the whole documentation, because in the documentation it's written that jQuery allows HTML as an argument. Sometimes it's not written, because the documentation is never really complete. So have a look at the code. If you are a very thorough developer, you will, if you're a paranoid, you will have to look at the code, because you won't you won't live without looking at the code of the library you are going to use. For jQuery developers, remove, please, the old version, put them in a zip file, and don't expose it to the internet, because someone could just pick up the first casual version and use it without even knowing that maybe there is some problem on that particular jQuery version. Just put the latest one, or version it with major versions, and stop. After that, of course, please separate jQuery behaviors with different functions. This is something that is still around, quite common pattern. The use of jQuery AJAX method actually allows three-way, another functionality feature that allows three-way. The first one is by giving explicit, you know that you can create HTML, XML HTTP requests using the $AJAX, and then by giving an object that contains a URL, some data, and you can create a JSON-P request by adding a callback. There are three ways to add the callback. The first one is explicitly put the callback inside the query string. The second one is to tell Ajax with an element of the object that the name of the callback is that one. And the third one is by using a placeholder. I found that by accident, because I didn't read the documentation, but I saw the code. Before I read the code and then I read the documentation. It's always better. And there is actually a point here in the code that says callback. Too many callbacks. Ajax. Okay, I can't remember, but okay. There is actually a regular expression that looks for a pattern that is equals question mark. Okay, yeah. So I have to look at equals question mark. Okay. So, I think you already have the idea of what can be done. It can be probably used the HTTP parameter pollution in order to override the callback by injecting another callback. So, according to what the code is using, and the fact that you, of course, the attacker, of course, can control partially the URL, I created a little priority map. So if there are three methods, three ways of using URL, object, placeholder, if you can actually try to force by injecting something in the URL, and there will be, for example, there will be the placeholder will win against the object. If you when you control the URL, there will be the possibility to add in the end the callback. So let me find. Let's take this. And of course, if I can control, if I can add okay, let's do this. If I can control the first part, I can always add an hash symbol and comment out the rest. So there is no problem for what's going after. Indeed, let's see here what's going on. So CB is the first one, so the alert is going to be used. If I use the second, so I have JSON P CB. You can see here that actually jQuery sees that there is the JSON-P way to use it, and adds it at the beginning. So I can still try to add the callback, and you see here that the actual request is, let's see if it's better here, okay. You can see that the actual request, the first callback is the one added by jQuery, and the last one is the one added by me. So in the case of PHP, if we have a JSON written in PHP, JSON-P service, then the last one is the one that counts, that's taken in consideration, and that's used. So you can control the callback name and execute all the code you want. And so on. So I tried, and I saw that according to the case the developer is using, there will be some possibility. Also, you can see here that there is an interesting thing here. If I do, you see that if I tell JSON to use JSON-P to jQuery, callback equals something is added by default. Okay, so it's added always if there is no other JSON-P or directive. Okay. What can I do now? I can do this. And add the placeholder that will think jQuery that she doesn't have to add his own callback, but she has to, for example, I can rename the callback to something I want. It will be ignored by the server, and actually, you can see that there is no more callback at the beginning of the request, but the jQuery function is added to my placeholder. So now I can actually use my callback, and this way I I put out of the game the real callback, and I can now control actually the callback the way I want. Of course, was the solution. By encoding according to the context. So, what's the context? Is the URL encode using URI encoding. In this case, encode the URI component would do the job. Another thing that I've seen a lot, and I know that I heard David Ross talk about regular expressions. Okay, a lot of parsers, a lot of developers try to sanitize or try to identify bad patterns in the input and block those patterns. So this is from mail.ru, which is, I will show you. They say, okay, let's do the HTML, let's use the HTML function, but the input text must not contain tags, or must contain just a few tags, like bold, italics, and so on. They create this. Also, they decoded, they unescaped the input. So I have, the attacker has every possible character. He can control every possible character, he can inject every possible character. Here, there is at least one problem. This point, the dot, does not match new lines. Let's see if I have it here. Okay. Actually, there is there are like 3 whitelisted tags that are italics, bold, I think, or another one. So if I say it's too, okay. So this is italic. Let me do this. Okay. If I say, okay, let's try to use the S, it's not used because it's not in the whitelist. Since with Dominator would be quite easy to see what's happening, you can actually see that the input is unencoded, so there is one operation that is unescape, or decode URI component, I don't remember. So if I put this new line, it will be decoded into the actual character, and there you go. So now I hope I wrote it well. No. There is, of course, some problem here. And, well, at least there is something going on. Okay. I have two things to say and too little time. So let's go on. Even here there is this replace regular expression, and you can see that there is something wrong over there. It should be very similar to this. Okay, you can see here. But actually, there is one character missing, that is the slash. So they actually are escaping the question mark. It won't work, this. This won't work. This is not going to be a sanitizer. Or, fortunately, for them, don't work as expected. Actually, you can see that this code is going to use inner HTML only if contains particular meta character, and JavaScript or alert. Wow. You can see here that if matches meta character and matches JavaScript or alert, it will be considered evil. So I thought, okay, let's not use it. Let's use on error prompt. Okay? Wrong. Because the second regular expression actually returns an array. So it's always true. And so it will match only the content with angular parentheses and so on, meta character, and will be evil, and so it won't be executed. So they were very fortunate in this case that the regular expression was wrong. So the solution is test for those regular expressions, please, or not, if you are very, very lucky. This is very interesting. It's a web tool from a company, and it takes, let me show you what it does. Here it is. Is inside an iframe, this code. It takes, waits for a message from another window and parses the argument to an object and uses the object in order to build a, parses the object if you follow the flow and gives the object to $Ajax. So actually anyone can ask this iframe to create a request, an XML HTTP request to his own, where he is hosted, to the server where he's hosted. Let's have a look at it better. What is build request? Request is the actual object that will be given to Ajax. And you can see here that request input is the one that the attacker can control, and some of these fields are used with the input the attacker can control. There are several, I will show some, just a couple. There is a new header that is set, and is the origin header. So actually, the attacker just tried to use it, sets the location, creates the object with the URL. And sorry, but I forgot to show you that there is this. The response is given back to the window. So the attacker can create a request and read the response. Yeah, this was the most important part. So the attacker is very motivated to break it, okay? So it tries to create, and he sees that there is the origin header attached to the request. So since it's the request attaches the origin of the attacker window, then the server won't allow it, given a 403, forbidden. Okay, now attacker asks less politely. He tries to overwrite the origin header. Oh no, this is not going to happen. Now, attacker is a bit frustrated and decides to have a look at the jQuery documentation. and he sees that you can control, yes, data, you can control headers, but it didn't have any success with that. Also, there is this XHR R fields, which actually do this. jQuery allow to overwrite attributes of the native XML HTTP requests. And that's what the attacker tries to do. And voila, no custom header anymore. Let's see why. Okay, and also the message is given back, so the response is given back. You can see here that there is, if there is no header, oops. XMS origin is sent with the overwrite. There is no more custom header, but there is more. We can try to have a look at the code. And here, look at this. Oh, sorry. Look at this. The set request header is inside try catch block. That is why it didn't break. Because the exception is actually catch. There is more because I can actually create new custom headers. I won't use, in this case, this, but I use headers, and I will do I will force an exception by adding a character that is not allowed by the set request header, but after I added all my nice custom headers. This is the header, but there is no origin header because I triggered the exception before it was sent. Okay, last. The JSON one, just very quickly, it's known, I have already blogged about it. This is from the RFC by Crockford. This is wrong. Because if this check allows the use of self inside the text that has to be parsed as a JSON object. So actually, that regular expression allows non-JSON object to be considered as valid. Like, if you see here, there is an A. So, this means that JSON A is considered valid. By looking at some object that is inside the window, I found that self matches the regular expression. So, actually, this can be used again by abusing the Internet Explorer setter functionality. And this is a valid JSON. This is considered valid JSON, and actually it executes JavaScript like this. Okay, but it's old stuff. Yes, it was old. Actually, if you look at Google code, there is one interesting, at least one, the GWT JSON utils, the latest one, uses actually the old regular expression, so it is still out there. Of course, there is new JSON.js. Please use JSON natively if possible. And remember that once the object is parsed, there will be the possibility, this object is still a tainted object, fully tainted object. I will just talk about, okay, YUI still has some problem with HPP. I just say that it's quite easy because the code simply substitutes this placeholder. So actually you can substitute, you can use this feature, YUI feature, and inject new callbacks inside the, as well as it was with the Ajax, $Ajax. The last one is about third-party services like analytics. I've found several issues on Omniture, on Google Ads, and so on, that actually introduced DOM-based cross-site scripting because they were flawed in some way. There is one that I was allowed, at least silently allowed to. Okay, let's use Google Chrome. Google Chrome. This is Microsoft's homepage. And what happens here is that there is the web trend JavaScript, analytics JavaScript, third-party JavaScript, that has some code that looks for wt.debug in the URL by design. So if there is that pattern, then it will try to open a window. So it's not, I'm showing this because it's not really exploitable, because most of the people use pop-up blockers, okay? But it's interesting because it will open a new window and enters in debug mode, showing something like, I don't know, but something like this. The problem is that the URL, you can see here the injection point, the URL is written as it is. So you just have to add in the hash part your injection vector and create and let it go. No, is opened by Microsoft, so it's in the last thing about this. Now I wanted to show the code, but there is no time. So conclusion: JavaScript can be read. So it's not white box, it's not black box, it's white box. Secure development in JavaScript is not fully known, not fully implemented, even on companies that knows about security. JavaScript developers can be very good, but sometimes they really suck because JavaScript is hard, very hard. And yeah, we just scratched the surface of JavaScript security, I'm pretty sure. And let's give JSanity a try because I think could be interesting. So, thank you.
So we went a little bit overboard with time, but I think it was totally worth it.
Thanks.
Are there emergency questions? If not, approach Stefano afterwards, and lunch should be served. Also,